Hello, students. Good evening, Aishwarya, Kavita. Good evening to all of you, students. Students, now we will complete this topic on returns, which are being there. I am going to make a table, students, in this topic on returns, and I'll request to all of you to make this particular table. In this topic, students, we have seen that there is one question which is targeted in the examination. So, in the next 1 hour, we are going to finish it off this particular topic, and you will find that the questions which they have targeted in the examination from this topic primarily, although it may be a case study, but it is actually a theory question. So that is point number one. Point number two, students, is that these written topics, students, we have already have done it earlier also in terms of any other like registration topic we have done, PDS, TCS, other topics. So which are the GST that would be filed, but it becomes very confusing when actually you have to deal with this like in a consolidated manner because there are a lot of things which keeps popping up at different places. It keeps coming up, so it becomes at that point of time quite confusing to remember these particular returns, its due date, and the other particular compliance. That is the reason why it is important, students, now to all of you that you prepare this thing in the way I'm telling it to you. Do it. Make the notes. Only one page notes should be made. That should be all. Also, I'm going to give you some page number reference. So you'll take a note of that page number reference, and that is what it will be all about. So students, you will make a note when you make a note, make it again the same way. Horizontally, you will make a note in this context. And on that, whatever are the contents of this particular chapter, we are going to deal with them. Let's begin with this one, students. So this is the topic. Why I'm using this topic just to consolidate whatever you have learned. Consolidate, students, what we have learned till now. So that is the reason why I'm using this particular topic now. So here, students, you are going to make primarily two particular this thing over here, students. So please make a particular horizontally, and what you are going to do, students, be careful. Who are the person who is going to file the return, and thereafter the regular return, students, give some space for this particular note. Thereafter the annual return in this context that will be required to be filed, and finally, students, the remark. Remark also give some space, students, in this context. Huh? So make primarily the particular four columns in this particular case. So I've already made this notes. I just want all of you to ensure to make it properly. Once it is important that you structure the notes in this case, because at the end of the day, this topic on the day of the examination, you are going to revise it in 10 minutes. 10 minutes, you are going to finish it off. That is the entire point, that you understand, and then you also revise in a very short span of time. That is the reason why this note is going to be very helpful. So friends, I'm just putting point number A over here as a suppliers. There are two particular person who are going to, once you get yourself registered under the GST law, then in that case the compliance will have to be considered. Once you registered under the GST law, then whether you have to undertake the compliance in this context. So in that situation, it's any particular registered person who is there, any particular registered person, students, who is there. Who is the person who have to file the return? Any registered person, students, who is there will be required to file the return. That is point number one. Will be required to file the return in this context. And therefore, in this regard, students, if they are required to file the return, students, if they are required to file the return, students, then in that situation, students, then in that situation, students, they will be under the obligation to file the return. They will be under the obligation to file the return. Now, if you see, there are, it is not only the supplier who is supposed to file the return, even the non-supplier students, even the non-supplier students, will they be required to file the return? And the answer is yes. So therefore, students, in this particular context, the non-supplier. Now, who are the non-supplier students? The non-supplier, as you know, ISD, we have seen in the earlier lecture, TDS, TECS collectors who are there in that context, isn't it? So they are some of the example of the non-supplier. Now, if they are the non-supplier, they will have to get themselves registered. And if they have to get themselves registered in that situation, will they be required to file the return, students? And the answer is yes. So they will be required to file the return, students, in this regard. And that exactly is the point in this particular context. So therefore, students, we will have to now look into this particular part about the fact that we will get now into this particular aspect of this point number A. So if you see over here, the supplier, students, I'm just putting the word point number one over here. The normal supplier that we all know. What is his particular liability in this context? The GSTR 3B. The GSTR 3B, students, is the main return in this context. That is a normal particular case. Now, if you see the due date, they will have to file it monthly. And on monthly, students, 20th, they are supposed to, on monthly 20th, they are supposed to file the return. That is point number one. Now, if you see point number two over here in this context, the next one, students, is about the QRMP. Now, this QRMP, students, quarterly, they file the return quarterly, but they make the payment monthly. We all are aware of it. Now, even they would be required to file the GSTR, students. They are also filing the GSTR 3B itself. But as I told you, students, quarterly. And they have, students, the two dates are there, 22nd and 24th of the following month of the quarter. Whichever quarter that you are talking about it, the following month, 22nd and 24th. So, students, just over here for the QRMP, we need to have a discussion under 13.6 to 13.9. 13.6 to 13.9, students. That exactly the point over here. So therefore, students, in this particular context, this is a couple of points, students, which has been there over here. And hence, in this regard, students, this is the relevance that we will always bear it in mind. Now, going it further, students, going it further, students, the casual taxable person in this context. Now, before that, students, now one more thing. Huh? What about the annual return? Now both of them students annual return is there in student GSTR 9. So in GSTR 9 the annual return is filed and the due date students as we know for the annual return is December 31st. December 31st students. So this is what it is students in this regard. So now then in this regard students, if you see it very carefully, thereafter we have got the casual taxable person. Now so far as the casual taxable person is concerned, if you see in this regard, so therefore there is again GSTR 3B. GSTR 3B students. Now as far as the GSTR 3B is concerned, primarily for casual taxable person, now they can either file again students if the casual taxable person, now the meaning we know, as I told you, I am taking some in other state, some particular supply I'm doing it. I don't have a place of business, so for that other state I become a casual taxable person. So either monthly or I can opt for the QRMP. Either monthly or I can opt for QRMP. If it is monthly, then again 20th of next month. QRMP, the same due date doesn't changes. This is important, students. So far as annual return is concerned, not applicable. Casual taxable person students, they will not be required to file the return in this case. That is the point in this regard. I hope that all of you are clear with this one. Now, students, the remark. See the remark. So for these 3 points together, the remark is common. These 3 points together, the remark is common, students. And what exactly is the remark, students, in this context? So here, students, if you see very carefully, they will have the common remark, which is what? The sequence in this case, the sequence students in this case is the first one, GSTR1. In GSTR1, students, they will first file the GSTR1. What is GSTR1? We will see in page number 4 and 5. Just take a note of the page number. Right now, if I have to just tell you, it is nothing but you give a statement of the output supply. You are giving what, students? The statement of your output supply. That is GSTR1. So that we will discuss it in page number 4 and 5. At the same time, students, these people who are under the QRMP, so they, in fact, instead of this thing, so there is also either you file GSTR1 or the QRMP people, they file this IFS, Invoice Furnishing Facility. Even that discussion, students, we will have it, page 3 and 4. Just take a reference of the page number 1. So the QRMP people, please understand, they may not file the GSTR at all, GSTR1, because they have the obligation to file the quarterly return, but they have the facility to file a statement, the invoice statement. They will file it, they will upload the invoice. That is known as IFF, Invoice Furnishing Facility. More on this, we'll discuss it right now, but just make the notes properly first. So first GSTR1, thereafter there is auto populate. The system is going to auto populate the data on the basis of GSTR1, and therefore we have got GSTR 2A and 2B, which is nothing but auto population, which is done directly by the system, and that is page number 5 and 6 in this context. And thereafter, students, the third one is your GSTR 3B. So the GSTR 3B happens not directly before GSTR 3B. This is a step which happens, and then GSTR 3B comes into picture. Now this I have given a remark for the first three category of person. Who are they? One who is a normal taxable person who is filing the return. Second one, students, happens to be the QRMPs who have opted for the QRMP facility, and the third one happens to be the casual taxable person. Third one, students, happens to be the casual taxable person, and that exactly the point, students, in this context. So this is what it is in this regard, students. 1, 2, and 3. Point number 4, students. If you see OIDAR service, OIDAR service, students. Now this We know who is this OIDR, non-resident person who is providing this particular OIDR service. Now these people, now just this is over. This particular part is over here. So I'm just putting this particular asterisk over here. But please keep one line also open. The remark I need to write further. One remark also will fall into place. One small remark. So therefore I'm extending the line like this. Now as far as the OIDR is concerned, there is a GSTR 5A. GSTR 5A. As far as the GSTR 5A is concerned, students, in this context, again monthly it is 20th. Monthly it is 20th. So GSTR 5A monthly facility 20th of the month in this particular context. This is the point, students, which has been there over here. Next particular point, students, which has been there is about what? The composition taxpayer in this scenario. Now, they also annual return, students. For them, the annual return is again exempted. They don't file annual return. Exempted. Thereafter, composition taxpayer, students. Composition taxpayer, students. For them, it is GSTR 4. Now, they are all supplier, by the way. Everyone is supplier. If you remember in the composite chapter, we have discussed this point also. Composite taxpayer, they only file annual return. Their regular return is the annual return. They file it annually. Annually means what? When they file annually, and annually they file it on 30th of April. 30th of April, students. That's exactly the point. That is when they file. Now, as far as the annual return is concerned, annual return that they file, in this case is this GSTR 9A. So the annual return is GSTR 9A, and that they file by 31st of December. So regular return only once, which is 30th of April next year. 30th of April next year. Annual return, they file GSTR 9A 31st December. Is that point clear to all of you, students? Everyone in this context? So this is the point in this regard. And then the last supplier, students, the last in the supplier is the, but just put this particular part, students, right now. After this composition taxpayer, again put a dotted lines. Please stretch it. After the composition taxpayer, just put a dotted lines and do stretch it. Now comes the sixth one, students, and that is non-resident taxable person. Now, in this case, students, they have got GSTR 5, and in this situation, monthly, which is 13th. Monthly, students, which is 13th. That exactly the point. So monthly they are going to do it, and that is given in this context as 13th. Now, do they file annual return? Not applicable. Annual return is not applicable. Only the regular return, which they file monthly, and monthly would be 13th of the next month. So this is so far as the NRTP is concerned in this regard. Now, coming further, students, if we just take the discussion further, let's take the discussion further, students. We now go to point number B, which is a non-supplier. Now, so far as the non-supplier is concerned, students, for the non-supplier students, the first one is ISD. ISD students, they will file GSTR 6. GSTR 6 students. And that is again monthly, they are going to file it. Monthly 13. Annual return, not applicable in this context. Annual return, not applicable. The second particular point, students, is about the tax deductor. Tax deductor GSTR 7. Monthly on 10th. Annual return, not applicable. The third one, students, is a tax collector. GSTR 8. Again, monthly students, it is 10th. Monthly students, it is 10th. And thereafter, students, annual return, GST, a tax collector. Remember in section 52, I told you this distinction that tax deductor don't file a annual return, but tax collector do they file, and they have used the word annual statement. It is nothing but annual return. Do they file a tax collector? Do they file annual return? And the answer is yes. So GST 9B in this case, and that is on 31st of December. 31st of December. In this regard. Have you all done with this one, students? All of you? Perfect. Fine, students. So I think we are done with this now, students. Just pay attention to this particular part. Of till the composition taxpayer. Be careful. Till the composite taxpayer, students. So here, till the composite taxpayer, there are two things that you just be very careful about it. There is a concept of, students, annual self-certified annual self-certified reconciliation statement. Reconciliation statement. Now, you'll say, sir, what is this annual self-certified reconciliation statement? In a simple particular wording, students, I can say that obviously, students, you might say that if there are any errors that would have happened, and supposing there are some omission that may have taken place, something of that sort, corrections and all that would have taken place through subsequent rectification. So, therefore, you actually then make a final annual self-certified reconciliation statement. That is one particular exercise that you do. Now, who is the person who is supposed to do this for truth? Now, this is done first of all. This particular part, let's first look upon this one, to whom it is applicable. So, therefore, this is the through GSTR 9C. GSTR 9C, and if the aggregate turnover, this is applicable only if your aggregate turnover. See, the compliance is more, na? So, if the GSTR is more than rupees 5 crores. GSTR, it's more than 5 crores. Aggregate turnover is more than rupees 5 crores. Only in that particular case that this annual self-certified reconciliation statement is required to be filed. Now, there are certain exception, students, in this case. Exception means these people will not file. GSTR 9C may not be applicable. So, who are the person to whom GSTR 9C is not applicable? There are two person, students. One is the casual taxable person, and second is a composition taxpayer. Second is a composition taxpayer. That exactly is the point, students. And the second one, students, is about the second point, students. I'm just writing it, is about what? The rectification. Rectification of return. Now, that, students, just take a note of it, page number 12. We'll discuss it in page number 12. Are you all through with this one, students? You all are through with this one. Now, let's look upon to the relevant pages that now you need to look upon in this particular context, and thereafter directly the question and answer. As I told you, students, the Q&A are very outright. So here there is no such thing like a presentation kind of a thing. Just simply need to put up whatever it is there. Just simply need to put up over here, right? Because they are direct questions students targeted. Even a case study which they have asked earlier, they are also very straight. This look like a case study, but it's actually a theory. So unlike in the other earlier topics where we have to actually properly write the provision and then apply to the given situation, then give out the reasons, this topic will not involve that exercise. However, this topic is an important one. I see and know the fact that students get confused because of the multiple due dates, overlapping due dates, lot of compliances. That's the reason why the logical understanding or logical way of presentation is through this kind of a master chart. Now, with that, students, I proceed with this one. And on that particular note, students, I now go to over here. Now, okay, before that, students, just put an observation in this case. Start an observation. There is also, students, after this, there is a concept of students, first return and final return, which is given, which we will discuss in page number 13. First return and final return. Again, an important particular thing which has been there. The first return and the final return. Page number 13. And if it can help you students to remember some sections for regular return students, for regular return, which we have considered in our this thing, the section is section 39 only. All section on the return date is section 39, except for this section 52, which is for the TCS. Otherwise, it is section 39. Whatever the GSTR that we have referred, all the GSTR numbers which have been given to you in the regular return, it is coming through section 39, except for the TCS, which is GSTR 8. That GSTR 8 is coming through section 52. Thereafter, students, the annual return, if you see, annual return section, students, because why I'm giving you the section number, because some particular theory they have targeted directly that you need to know the section number. Fine, if that is the case, at least good that we need to know. For annual return, whatever we have written, students, it is section number 44. If it is TCS, then it is section number 52. If it is, students, the TCS, then section 52, students. Now, with that, students, let's look upon to this. So, I move first, students, towards this. The first particular category, students. The GSTR 1 and all the stuff. The page number 4, if you all just can take it, students. Now, students, what I will suggest to all of you is that quickly we will just try to wind up this particular theory, which I have made reference of it. Just go through it once, and then a small video I'll just put it tonight, and then we'll do the Q&A on that. Okay, maybe you can do a recording particular part, that is perfectly fine, but just ensure to go through this particular part. Okay, all this particular point, so that I can just at least go through this particular page number which I have given it, go through this theory once, and then I'll do the Q&A with all of you. My students, quickly run through this one. Maybe you can just see the second part on the recorded mode, because I'll do it at bit late night. See you then.